Hi guys, welcome back to Elite Chess. We are continuing our lecture on World Chess Champions. Today we're going to look at a couple of games of Wilhelm Steinitz. This is going to be quick. We're just going to rush, well not rush, we're going to breeze through the three games. I don't want to take too much of your time. You can find our companion article on our Mighty Networks group, a link in the description. Mighty Networks is where you'll find our community. We post polls and questions and articles and videos there, and you can join um, one of our groups with our different skill levels. If you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, if you're advanced, and you can just ask our professional coaches any questions, regardless of what you need to know, what you want to learn, anything like that. We're here to make you a better chess player. So if you haven't checked us out yet, please join our community and let's see if we can get you better at chess. Okay, so let's start with what we're doing today. We're talking about Wilhelm Steinitz, the first world chess champion. As mentioned, we're going to look at three of his games. One against Adolf Anderssen, one against Michael Chigorin, and once again, one against Johannes Zukertort. Now, let's quickly talk about Adolf Anderssen. Adolf Anderssen was considered the world's best chess player between like 1850 and 1860. Um, Mostly because Paul Morphy retired, but Adolf Anderssen won the London International Chess Tournaments in 1851 and 1862. And this basically cemented him as the world's best chess player. Then in 1866, he played a match against Wilhelm Steinitz. After 12 games, they were drawn, and then it's 6-6 each, and then Wilhelm won the next two games. So there were no draws in the match. And then after that, Steinitz was, world number one essentially. I found a great study on Lichess with a bunch of Steinitz games. So, and it has computer analysis as well, but we're not going to look at the computer analysis. We're just going to look at the game and then see if we can explain some of the moves. If the computer analysis has something awesome, then we'll talk about that. So let's quickly get into this Anderssen game. Okay, and also Adolf is playing white, Wilhelm is playing black, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, the Italian game. There's two main ways to answer this as black. The two knights defense with knight f6, and Gioco Piano with bishop c4, bishop c5, my apologies. So Wilhelm decides to play the Gioco Piano, and now Anderssen plays something we don't see anymore, but this is very typical of the time era or the era where attacking chess was what it's about. Bunch of gambits all the time. This didn't really change up until 1872 when Wilhelm changed his play style. Wilhelm Steinitz is responsible for positional chess as we know it. If you want to find out more about him and all of that stuff, you can check out our companion article on Mighty Networks. So this is called the Evans Gambit. It's named after a sea captain, if I remember correctly. And the whole point of this move is if the bishop takes, you play c3, the bishop goes back, and then d4 happens. Um, so I think mainline theory these days is to just play bishop b6 immediately. But back in the day, it was considered rude not to take a gambit. So we take the gambit, and all of this happens, and now e takes, castles, d6, c takes, and now bishop b6. This is all mainline stuff. d5, your knight has to get out of the way. We're attacking the bishop. Bishop b2, knight e7, developing, getting ready to castle. Bishop d3, just getting out of dodge, out of danger. Castles, knight c3, developing our knight. c6, queen d2, and now f5. The computer considers this a inaccuracy. Computer wants knight g6. Um, I think f5 is definitely a more human move, but I 100% am certain all of the super GMs will find this move. But Wilhelm played f5. Now, f5 has a bunch of reasons behind it. The first is to undermine this pawn chain. The second is to get the rook into a semi-open file, perhaps. We'll be able to get our queen onto the dark squares at some point. And after we play this move, I think it just feels better with the rook to be open. I can't really explain any more than that. This is what makes sense to me about f5. We have rook a e1, so that if this pawn takes, this rook is on an open file, which again makes sense. Rook wants to be on an open file. Um, why this rook and not this rook? I think at some point you'd like to push f4, but yeah, at the end of the day, if the computer considered this to be incorrect and it should have been this rook, then it's the age-old question of which rook. All right, f takes e4, which is considered a blunder. I'm not 100% sure why. I just know the computer still wants this. Knight takes e4, knight takes d5, knight eg5. So with this move, we can see that white is just attacking everything. Everything is going to come this way, and it's going to be bad times for black, it seems. Now h6 makes sense. Chase away the knight. The computer wanted to oops, sorry about this, to just trade bishops. But I think h6 is the more human move. Get rid of this attacking piece. Okay, the knight moves away. I think this is the first blunder for Anderssen the entire game. Now, this is actually good, right? If you look at this attack, right, the computer recommends bishop e7 check, running away over here, f7 check, and then after the rook takes, now the queen can come in with this pin, and it's going to get very bad for white for black very quickly. I think this is very awesome. This is definitely a tactic you can consider in the future. Yeah, if we can just imprint this in our minds, this will make us all better chess players, I'm sure. Right, knight e6, bishop takes, rook takes, and now queen d7. Um, there is a fork here that I think could have been very nice, but regardless, queen d7 attacking the rook. Okay, rook runs away, and now knight f4. The computer considers this a little too late, but I'm sure we all played chess games where there's this move we have in our minds, but okay, we first need to do something else before we can do that move. And the computer says, okay, you should have done it first, and now that you do it, it's a little bit too late. So, unfortunately, that happens to everybody, and it happened here. Because knight f4 is obviously a very good move, but Anderssen thought, okay, let's just kick the rook away first. So that's pretty. I'm sure you would have been disappointed if you had computer analysis. Rook takes g7 check, queen takes, and now the queen is sacrificed. All right, now you get players that will be happy to play 4 versus 3, but down a queen. Um, Even with a pawn up, um, maybe in blitz, but not like in a tournament game. This is, I think, this would be too hard to defend, especially against the amazing chess players we have today. Which I'm sure, if you're not one, you're working up to be one. So yeah, I wouldn't play this. Let me know if you would play this in the comments. Um, I would be too scared. I would have tried to keep my queen, but I assume there wasn't any way to do that. All right, so knight h4, knight takes d3, queen takes d3, rook f6. The whole point is to protect this square, okay? Because this check would have been devastating. Knight f5 check, king f8, okay? Why king f8? If you went here, then there's too much stuff here. I would assume it would have been I assume it would have been this um, with the check. But regardless, okay, now we have queen h3, rook e8, queen g4, and now rook e6. The whole point of rook e6 is this is going to be checkmate. So rook e6, you can run away. Queen check, you run away. G4, D5. I assume the whole reason is just to start pushing the pawn. King G2, get your king active in the endgame or near to the endgame. Knight C4. I think the plan has to do with this perhaps. Queen takes B7. Of course, it was unprotected. And now Rook E2. I think exploiting the spin perhaps. Queen G7. Okay, the computer liked to give check here, but we're not going to look at the line. Rook Fe6, H4, now D4. Just pushing the pawn. Check. Okay, and now King D7, only move. Queen F7, and now King C8, again, only move. And now the knight goes back. I'm not sure what the plan is besides attacking the rook, but this might be all that it is. Knight takes check. Knight check, exploiting the pin. King G8, and now we have Rook E4. The whole point of Rook E4 is just to get this check in. F3, blunder. It's a blunder because even if you take this, after the move D3, there's going to be this discovered check. So D3, and like I said, there's the discovered check here. F takes, discovered check. Rook F2 takes, moves back, and now we have Rook E1 check, King G2, Rook G2 check, F3, and I think we can all see where this is going. Knight E5, takes, 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 and now, even though there's a bunch of isolated pawns on the board and this one is a little bit far away to connect, the fact is this pawn is unstoppable. There's a thing called the square of the pawn, and if it's your move, like which it's now, I'm going to move one, then this square is going to get smaller. If this king is not able to get into the square or is in the square, then you're going to queen. So in this position, if it's white to move, white can get into the square and then he's going to stop the pawn. But because it's black's move, this is going to queen. All right. If you have any questions about that, come over to our community and you can ask directly and we'll teach you how to do that stuff. Okay. Let's look at our next game, which is going to be against Michal Chigorin. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Michal Chigorin. All right. So Michal Chigorin challenged um, Wilhelm after he was world champion. All right. So Wilhelm got the world championship by playing Johannes Zukertort, who considered himself to be the best chess player. So they tested it out. There was a long feud between Zukertort um, and Steinitz. You can read a little bit about it in our article on Mighty Networks, but you can definitely go find some good stuff on YouTube and Wikipedia and everywhere else. It was a very weird time where they would fight each other, um, basically through magazines. It was a bit strange, but regardless, let's talk about Michal Chigorin. Michal Chigorin challenged Steinitz. Okay, well, he didn't challenge Steinitz for the title. What happened is the Havana Chess Club in Cuba in 1888. Um, Wanted to arrange a game. And then they said Wilhelm can choose who he wants to play. And Wilhelm chose to play Michal Chigorin. So in 1889, they held the match. And uh, Steinitz proposed that they should play 20 games because he said that you can't have like the first one to win 10 games because if I win the first 4 games, then I can just draw the rest of the games and it will go on forever. So He said, let's play 20 games and then the best out of 20. Regardless of what format it was, Steinitz won that game, and then later there was a rematch as well, which he won as well. So let's look at this game. Michael is playing black, Steinitz is playing white. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, nothing new, bishop b5, Ra Lopez, and now to surprise everything, a Berlin, yes ladies and gentlemen, a Berlin in the 1800s. Now, how can this be? The fact is, chess openings go in and out of style, and the Berlin was very much out of style for a very long time. And of course, in 2000, Vladimir Kramnik versus Garry Kasparov, Vladimir played this to some good effect, and then everybody in the chess world went insane because there's this line in the Berlin where you trade all of your pieces, and then you're in the end game at move 7 when the queen goes off. Yeah. So before move 11, it's an end game. So yeah, it's made people to pick this up again. The three main moves that are commonly played here is a6, the Berlin, and then the third most popular, which is my favorite, is the Schliemann. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend the Schliemann unless you're prepared to study for it, just as much as you're prepared to study the Berlin or the Morphy defense. All right, so now f6 we have a Berlin, d3, d6, c3, g6. So this might not look like theory. This is theory. It's just not, the flashy type that we saw back in 2000 and from then on. Knight bd2. Yeah, this is a move that you see a lot in the Ra Lopez. Bishop g7, knight f1 to put it in the normal place. Castles, a4. Knight e7 and now knight e3 is considered an inaccuracy. The computer likes to have this already in the correct spot. Okay, regardless, knight c5, attacking, drop back, knight e6, h4, and now knight e7, another inaccuracy. The computer likes to go knight f4, which is amazing. It's not. I'm not sure why though, because it's not really an outpost. Because maybe you can just kick it away at some point. H5. Okay. Yeah, this is a move that happens a lot. If H4 isn't stopped, usually GMs like to play H5 on the next move. If H4 isn't stopped, D5, H6, G6, destroying pawn structure, and now F takes G6. This is considered incorrect. Mostly there's the thing about always takes toward the center, keeping your king a bit more safe. In this case, I can only assume this move was made to open up the rook, and then if the yeah, I think that might be the only reason. I'm not like 100% sure. Regardless, e takes, knight takes, knight takes, queen takes, bishop b3. Oh, okay. Here's the reason why that's a mistake. Wowie zowie. Okay, so ignore my wowie zowie, please. Okay, the point here is, yeah, king is open. That's amazing. So obviously this is a better move. Let this be a lesson to all of us. Yo, queen c6, because you have to keep an eye on a bunch of stuff. Queen e2. All right. Bishop d7. Bishop e3. King h8. Queenside castles. Okay. Yeah. Queenside castles is obviously preferable because now you have a million pieces that can come attack this king. Rook a e8. Queen f1. Yeah, computer likes this to have this battery to get rid of this bishop, I assume. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I'm not sure why this is wrong. I think it's also better to have your queen behind your rooks. But let's say what happened. A5, okay, aiming to go here. But white just says, I'm going to play d4 over here. E takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop takes, and then rook takes. Okay, this is interesting. I think this is very interesting. This is a Um, it's either yeah, a deflection. Eh? I think this is called a deflection because now you're going to take away the protector of this. Takes. Okay, let's look at this combination. All right, you can't. You're not gonna play this immediately, or uh, Steinitz isn't gonna play this immediately. He first wants to go check, then offer take Queen H1, back, and now. Oh, okay. I would have really, really thought that maybe you can play this, but yeah, I don't know. I assume after this there might be some issues. No, but you can't play here. There's a bishop here. So what? Why didn't he play this? Why didn't he just play this? Maybe he didn't want to have this trade, and then I don't know. I have no idea. But he decided this is better, and I probably this is the best computer move. King takes Queen H1, King G7, Bishop check over here, Queen H4 check, E5, and then Queen takes D4. Man, that was nice. That was nice. I really much enjoyed that game. Yeah, ignore all of my incorrect analysis stuff. But yeah, regardless, that's awesome. I like this ending. I'm gonna look at it one more time. All right, so D4, E takes, boom, 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 and I would have played this. I don't know. I think I would have played this. But yeah, he saw if he takes, then he can just chase the king around, and that's great. That's awesome, man. I'm so happy I saw this game. I haven't seen this one before. All right, let's look at the last one, which is Wilhelm Steinitz versus Zukertort. I am not sure when, how, or where, but regardless, let's quickly talk about Johannes Zukertort. Johannes Zukertort is the guy Wilhelm Steinitz beat to become world chess champion. Um, So we're going to see not positional play from Steinitz. We're going to see a King's Gambit, which was also very much played a lot back in the day, like a lot, a lot. Now you see it as an occasional weapon, but back in the day it was the main opening for a long time. So yeah, chess is amazing. Regardless, Wilhelm Zukertort did not like Wilhelm Steinitz. Wilhelm Steinitz did not like Zukertort. And when Wilhelm was living in London, they used to fight a lot. Wilhelm was writing for The Field, which was a sports magazine, and then he would, you know, make remarks about Zukertort and the other prominent chess players of the day with the way they think about chess. And then Zukertort had his own what do you call it, own magazine, which I forget the name about now, but you'll find in the companion piece. And then he would then complain in his magazine about what Steinitz said. And then eventually Steinitz moved to New York, and then Zukertort and his friends would pay people to write articles complaining about Steinitz, even when he was in America. It was called the Ink War, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it was very, very weird, very, very unfortunate, but very, very interesting. And it culminated in the first World Chess Champion. So we're not going to complain about it. So let's check out this game. And in classic 1800 style, it's going to be a King's Gambit, which I don't enjoy from either side. E4, E5, F4, the King's Gambit. I like to play D5, the Falkbeer counter gambit. But yeah, I haven't played it recently, so I lose when I play it. I should probably restudy it, but regardless, E takes, and now knight F3, G5. I think this is mainline. Bishop C4. Um, I don't think Bishop C4 is mainline. I think it's H4 or H4, and it's called something like the Kibirtsky or Kiberts or Kerbertsky or something like that. That black thing goes into. It's a very complicated, and it's a very weird line, but it's considered good. Um, G4, of course, knight e5 protecting the knight. Queen h4 check. We have to get out of the check. We can't really You can't play this. That's a no-no. Knight h6, blunder. Why is this a blunder? I wonder. d4, f3, makes sense. Knight c6, not worried about this. Knight c3, we're not worried about this for some reason. And now knight d3. Okay, so white has lost his castling rights. This queen and these pawns are very, very close to to this king. So yeah, if I was playing white in this position, I would definitely be slightly sweating, because I don't like these pawns. Okay, bishop g7. Okay, g3, attacking the queen. The queen runs away. Knight f4, castles. This king is going to be open at some point, hopefully. h3. Now we have knight c6, and now we have knight h5 and accuracy. I don't know what's the difference between the blue. Maybe the blue one is an accuracy, knight h5 is a mistake. I'm not sure. I don't remember how they write up their stuff. Regardless, um, what's wrong with knight h5? Uh, Maybe this isn't protected anymore as much as you would like. So maybe you would like the knight to still look after the pawn. I don't know. I'm not sure. G takes, knight moves in for. Look at this. Look at this. This king is so open. It's so open. The only thing, this isn't protected, but still, this is crazy. This is not also not protected. But you can't take this because there will be some forks, some checks and stuff, and then you lose this with a check, and yeah, it's nice. All right, c3, knight e7, attacking the knight. Knight runs away. Knight g6, which is considered an accuracy. Knight takes h3, getting rid of that scary pawn. Bishop e6, attacking the bishop, and now we have a trade. And now this rook is looking after this passed pawn. Where do our rooks like to be? On the 7th or 2nd rank, depending on color, open files, and behind passed pawns. And yeah, this rook is definitely a monster now in this position. Knight g5, bishop h6, attacking the knight. Steinitz just goes, nah, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to be attacking this, and I'll be attacking this with check, and I think my position isn't that scary yet. We see bishop takes g5, and now we have queen takes e6 check. Rook f7 blocking, and now we have queen takes g4. Because this was a hanging knight, nothing was protecting it. Very nice. Alright, we have bishop takes c7, rook takes c7, queen e8, and now we have c4. I'm not quite sure why c4, but the computer seems to think it's fine. d5. Um, this is a blunder. I think just because we're going to get a pawn being able to protect the center. So e5 instead of taking, I think I would have taken this, and then maybe at some point this could be good. e5, d takes c4, rook takes c4, of course. Queen b5 attacking the rook, also making a pin, also attacking this unprotected pawn. bg, solving all of the problems. Queen a6, and now we have knight f6 check, takes, queen takes, and now we have rook takes c7. Where do rooks like to be? On the 7th or 2nd rank, depending on color. And we have this lovely attack, and we have this pin. I assume this pin was here for a while. I just didn't see it yet. Rook e8. Okay, going for the open file. Queen d7, a mistake, but there's so much happening on this and this. I think it's okay. Um, Queen a6 check. King's gonna not move away. It's gonna be blocked here. And now we have rook e7 attacking the queen. Queen d5 check. King g7. Rook h2. Okay. What can be the reason for rook h2? Honestly, I have no idea. maybe just to get here. I assume that might be the only reason. I'm not like 100%, but I think that's the reason. b5, rook c6, attacking two pieces. Queen runs away. Rook take h7 check, king, and now we have queen h5 check, and now we have check, and now we have rook h6. Now this is a threat of checkmate. King f8, preventing that. Rook h8 check, of course. Queen moves away, and now we have queen e8, and now we have queen. Sorry, we had queen e5, and now we have queen e8. Queen f6, rook h6 check, king f5, queen e5, king g4, and checkmate. That was also very nice. I also enjoyed that game. Um, yeah, there was nothing really much to say about that game except that Zukertort definitely got outplayed. And yeah, the King's Gambit. The King's Gambit. I personally don't like it. I stress for black, I stress for white. Um, but yeah, it still gets played a lot. Well, not a lot, but occasionally. Um, I think it's Joe Bava that has some crazy games in it. And then I think I saw a game between, I think it was Richard Rappaport and Joe Bava, where they played a King's Gambit, and it was totally crazy. It was a lot of fun, regardless. But yeah, so this is just a couple of games of Steinitz versus three of his rivals, Anderssen, Chigorin, and Zukertort. I hope you guys enjoy the games. Let me know if there's anything I can improve upon, and please join the community. That would very much be appreciated. And then you can catch me live streaming on Tuesdays and Saturdays, usually at 6 o'clock South African Standard Time, but sometimes a bit later. But yes, you'll find details on our Mighty Networks as it changes. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you next week with a video and an article on Emmanuel Lasker, who can guess? That's it, the second world chess champion. Bye, everybody.